Hello, everyone. This is Heidi with Downtown NorCal Live. And today, the owners of Zim Cuisine in Davis are joining me. I'm going to be introducing them now. Please welcome Fungi and Zukurai Mukome. Did I do that well?
Yes, that was
Thank
great.
God.
Perfect.
All right. So before Shelter in Place, Zim Cuisine was functioning as an event-focused venue. And so since the pandemic, can you tell us how your operations have shifted?
So they've shifted from being event-focused to more catering-centered. So for specific events, and also catering by delivery. That has been necessitated by the fact that we haven't had the opportunity for people to get together, right? And so summer is usually the busiest time for outdoor activities. And with that evaporating, we've had to shift to more COVID-friendly business approach.
That's a really good point you make about the events. So this actually is an impact for you longer if we are continuing to deal with this. You're losing the major time frame for your income. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. If you think about it, a lot of summer, like event businesses are only spring and summer and really slow down to become non-existent by the fall. And so if you think about just basically losing the whole year's income and business. So it has affected us greatly.
Okay. Zukurai, you and I spoke on Messenger, and
yeah.
we talked about, you wanted to interview at some point, but you weren't ready because you are reconfiguring your business. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, some of what Fungi said we have a commercial food tent, and we have a permit for commercial, high risk food. And so because all the events have been canceled, we've had to try and figure out how we can ask the county to work within their modifications of their permits. So we're trying to move to the more catering model where we deliver because people can't really pick up as well. So our focus now is, cooking out of a commercial kitchen or commissary and delivering foods to our customers as per COVID kind of way of doing things. And so that also means changing our permitting to fit what the county is requiring.
And then we talked earlier about one of the obstacles being obtaining access to a commercial kitchen. You're still on the hunt for that, right?
Yeah. So far we've used the Davis Community Church. They're a great resource, great ally, great support. But however, it's a church, and it has a commercial kitchen, and the kitchen also has other uses and other groups that are using it. And so it has been a challenge to find just a long-term partner that's affordable as well, because our food margins are really low, to try and get more consistent meals. We've heard our customers, they love our food, but they also want it to be more consistent so that they know, every week I can order, every 2 weeks. So we want to be able to offer that. And so that's the direction we're going into, where we have more of like a DoorDash model where they know when we're open for business, it's consistent. We also do have a live website that they can look at our menus right now. And we're hoping once we move to the catering model full time, they can just place orders online when we're open during hours. And it just will make it very user friendly and easy. So we are really currently on the hunt for a more long-term solution that's affordable in terms of commercial kitchens.
So with the economic downturn we've been experiencing, a lot of small businesses sought support from the Small Business Administration through PPP and others programs. Were you able to access any of that?
No, we weren't. Being a small mom and pop business and just getting on our feet, there really isn't that space for us to tap into something like that. They were looking for, a lot of the requirements are for 50 to 60 employees or keeping employees in business at a much larger scale than us. And so we weren't able to tap into that.
Wow. Okay. So ultimately you have a dream, and I wanted you to share that with us.
Yes. I mean, we've been in Davis, I think this is 12 years, can't believe it. Mm-hmm. And we've noticed there's a huge international community in the city of Davis but it's not reflected in our downtown businesses. It's not reflected in our food, especially. And our dream is to have a Zim Cuisine kitchen right in downtown Davis. We want it to be an international space where people who love international music, international vibe, storytelling, all those kind of things can just come and enjoy African food and hang out. And we think that this diversity is necessary in our city. I think it would be welcome. People love our food, and it'd be just great to add another cuisine type to our downtown businesses, which already have really great restaurants. But we think that downtown could use an African restaurant, and we hope people can support us.
Yeah. And we really envision it to be more of a cultural exchange experience, more than just a dining experience, but just, experience a bit of Africa in the midst of Davis. Like Natalie was saying, Davis is so diverse in terms of composition, but you don't really see that when it comes down to the downtown scene or the downtown businesses. And so we would want to add something different to that scenario.
I love the concept, especially since I think it's going to be a while before many of us feel comfortable getting on airplanes and hanging out in airports and with COVID around. So wonderful to bring something international to our own community, which really leads into my next set of questions. There's no getting around it. We are in the middle of a social justice crisis, and thankfully we're able to talk about it. So I wanted to ask you, why is there a scarcity of Black-owned businesses in Davis?
Well, that is a very difficult question. And I think depending on who you talk to, they have different perspectives. But we've found it really challenging just penetrating into the different markets in Davis. We've applied for a year now to be a part of Davis Farmers Market, which we love and we visit. And it's just very difficult for businesses to get into the Davis market, let alone businesses of color, businesses that are not known by the people that are making those decisions about businesses coming in. And so I think that is a big challenge. Also, there's a lot of hoops to go through in terms of working with the county. And I think there just needs to be a support base in terms of maybe the Davis Chamber of Commerce being more inviting to Black businesses to say, hey, we want Black businesses in Davis. What can we do? How can we support you? How can we help you go through the hoops? I think the biggest challenge is realizing that a lot of people of African descent don't have other people that they can mirror or they can ask for resources for how to start a business and how to operate a business in downtown area. So I think having a group of people or the Chamber of Commerce just connecting with, people of color and saying, hey, we're here to support you. We know that a lot of businesses are first generation businesses. How can we make this generational so that we have these businesses stay in our town? That could be one aspect, but Fungai could.
I mean, and then if you look at downtown Davis, there's, a high turnover of businesses anyway, whether they're small mom and pop or the larger franchises. And so rental space is pretty expensive. And that presents a challenge for people entrepreneurs trying to get into business in the downtown area. So despite the fact that there's a need or a want in the community for something different, it's really challenging for those businesses to fit into that space and be viable. And so that's a challenge that we've faced when we've looked and saying, if we want to have a restaurant space, well, how much is it going to cost? And all the overheads and all of those things. How do you realistically enter into that space? So that's a challenge.
And definitely access to investors and financial backing is a huge thing, right? So those are topical issues that are probably going to be conversational pieces for a long term.
On Friday night, I had the opportunity to sit with Nicole Arnold, she's the owner of the former Mother and Baby Source, a Black woman, and she described the situation this way. She said, Davis welcomes you, but doesn't invite you. Does that resonate with what you've just said?
I think that is correct in that, because it's a small town, there is the advantage and disadvantage of people knowing people and everybody knowing who you are. But when they don't know who you are, then there's the challenge of being invited in, kind of like what she says. So it's welcoming, people are friendly. But when it comes to opportunities like, hey, there's a downtown space that just opened up. People usually invite people they know or people that are in their community. And because there's not a lot of people of color in the communities of people that are making these decisions, you do find that people don't tell you when there's opportunities to invest or opportunities to get a store space or those kind of things. So I think those are very, valid challenges that you face as being in the community, but not necessarily invited to sit at the table, would I say.
It's a really powerful feedback. Thank you for that. So I wanted to ask you also your feelings about that, because what we've talked about is the reality you're facing, but how does that feel on the inside?
Difficult. You have these dreams, you have these hopes of what you want to achieve, we walk around downtown and see these spaces and talk about, oh, it would be great if this space was this way, or how we could use the space. But it ends at that point. You can't make it into a reality, or it's challenging to make it into a reality. And so, disappointment is one of those things. Frustration at times, just, like the running around in terms of making sure you're going through all the right hoops, you're making all the right contacts. So I think those are the two emotions I could share.
Yeah, I mean, I would think of something that someone told me, that if you want to leave a legacy for your kids, which we have 3 adorable ones, don't get a job, because the moment you die, you're going to be replaced before the funeral is over. But start a business, because it will leave a legacy for your kids. So it does feel very overwhelming. It's a huge responsibility. Our kids are first generation African American. For us to think, what are we going to leave our kids? If we can't even infiltrate a small town that we've been in for 12 years, do we have a legacy for them? And is there anything we can do that we haven't done already to make things work for them, I guess? So it's a feeling of maybe overwhelmed would be a true assessment of how I feel.
I hope that by speaking out, and I hope people will watch this to provide the platform so that they can hear that. So to that end, how can people support you? You have a GoFundMe up right now. Is that right?
Yes, we do, which you were generous already to donate to, and I say thank you. One thing you said is we hope that people would listen and create platforms, and you are doing it. So we appreciate you creating this platform for us to share authentically how we really feel and our experiences without it feeling like a blame thing, because it's a human issue. Our GoFundMe is, gofundme.com/Zim Cuisine. We are hoping, like you said, ultimately to get a restaurant in town. But before that, we've been greatly affected by us not having our events. So there's a couple of items we need before we transition into our catering model. And we've listed them on the GoFundMe, like commercial items that we need to purchase, changing the permit. Those kind of things are costly, considering we did not get the SBA loan and we were not part of the downtown business stimulus, because we're technically not a downtown business. So we definitely could use the public support in either donating, sharing. If you're an investor out there and would love to see an African business, obviously, we would love to hear from you. And you have our details.
Great. And I will be linking your GoFundMe when I post the interview. So thank you for that. I hope that also we have more to talk about, obviously, because you're transitioning your business. So I'm going to ask you straight up, will you come back?
Yes.
Right.
We're active right now. Like if you have some kind of private event, we would love to come out and provide our food. If you have a winery or a business where you could have a food pop-up or truck, we want to be there. So please do follow our social media for when we do have any pop-ups or events, and please do reach out to us if you have anything in mind or any kind of private catering that you have in mind.
That's a great point. And also wineries have been closed unless they have food. I think that's about to change, but that's county by county. So you're offering a potentially very valuable service to those wineries and breweries that wish to open but do not have food service. So I have been talking to Fungi and Zukurai Mukome. They are the owners of Zim Cuisine. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having us. We appreciate it.
And I will see everyone tomorrow.